Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic. And it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people, unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others. Only on Real Revolution Radio.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody here to The Missing Link. The Missing Link is about love inspiring new knowledge. We are honored here to have a good friend of ours and a beautiful human being, Elizabeth Monroy from The Infinite Human. How are you today?
Great. Oh, it's so good to see you again. I was just saying before, what an amazing job you've been doing, providing this space, this portal for truth and for information to come out, and so many different perspectives on what's going on. And it's so vital at this juncture in humanity's next quantum leap.
Step to awareness. And we're just looking to get as many people's perspectives as possible, so that way, it doesn't matter who you are, what side of the spectrum you are, where you are in your journey, you can find something out of somebody. And like the 50, I think your number 51 or 52nd interview that we've done in like the last for like 4 months that we've started this. So why don't you give us kind of who you are for anybody that may not know who you are, and just kind of share with us your journey so far.
Well, God, we started together the first time I met you back in 2020 at the Truth Telethon, and that seems like 100 years ago now. So much has happened, hasn't it? It's just like, wow. At least for me, so much has shifted. And I don't know, you know who I am. I sent you my blurb. What does it say? I don't know. It came off my website.
I see.
Say a little bit so people have an understanding of my education background. So.
I don't have that up here, but you're living in Italy right now.
Sicily.
Just not okay. So it says, you're a life coach, Reiki Master, crystal energy healer, holistic health counselor, Ericksonian Hypnotherapist, Tarot coach, who combines your intuitive abilities to be at service to our earth and humanity during our current Ascension cycle.
Okay. And I also have a master's in mental health counseling. And my husband was a physician, so I'm grounded in, kind of, I like to say both worlds, so it's not just airy-fairy, the energy healing, although that's the core, which we dismissed for so long, because we are all energy, but worked within the medical structures with my husband for over 20 years, creating a new model of healing, of co-healing, where the responsibility is always on the person who's doing the healing, but the healer, because the first chapter in our book is Physician Heal Thyself, and we're seeing a lot of sick healthcare people right now. So the new model is for the healers to come forward now and to help co-heal the planet and the world and the earth and everything. But with all that said, I always think of myself as a divine storyteller. That's kind of because I'm really focused on writing. Just finished my book, The Infinite Human, which has been 30 years in the making, which is, I guess, kind of, if you've heard of Autobiography of a Yogi, have you ever heard of that book? It's kind of a famous book among spiritual adepts. Well, I would call this the memoirs of an alchemist, because it's really my spiritual journey, into what I call the infinite over the years. And it's what I would definitely say is a full disclosure or a red pill. It connects all the dots to the deep, goes deeper than anyone can even fathom and beyond. And then I say there's always another layer to peel away. Always, always. The whole continues because into the infinite. And that's why I use the word infinite. So I wanted to start because, I've just done so much in exposing so much information, and people, have been in their brains. So what I'd like to do is take a minute to kind of harmonize our right and left, our masculine, feminine, our brain, our heart, into just a nice deep meditation, since that's one of the things I just do. So if you and everybody else who can hear my voice, just close your eyes for a minute. Just get comfortable and take a nice deep breath in, breathing in, I am. And exhaling peace. And you feel yourself drifting deeper and deeper. If you're driving, you might not want to listen to this, or you might want to just stay focused on the road. Let's go down deeper and deeper. 10, 9, 8, even deeper, deeper into a nice, quiet, peaceful, away from the madness spot inside of you. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, sorry. Kiki, come here. That's my Kiki doll. I knew she'd do that in the meditation. Okay, come here. Now, once again, breathing in. I am the two most powerful words in the multiverse, which you use to create your reality. I am. And exhale, infinite. Sinking down deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, breathing in, I am. And exhale, love. And one more time, breathing in, I am. And exhale, source. As you just feel yourself relaxing deeper and deeper into your body, into your heart, and feel that infinite love of source in your heart, causing your heart to beat in the rhythm of the cosmos, in the rhythm of the universe, in the rhythm of divine infinite source. Keep breathing in deeply. Breathing in, I am, and exhaling infinite as you feel this beautiful, loving energy pulsating, pumping out from your heart through your bloodstream, transmuting your iron cells into crystalline structures and restoring your DNA, RNA, and mitochondria. As you keep breathing in, I am, and exhaling infinite, and feel the energy of divine infinite source pulsating through your body, through your junk DNA, and activating your 12-strand silicone-based double diamond sun DNA. And feel the 13 strands of your DNA being activated by the solar sun of 1,000 suns. And just keep on breathing in, I am, and exhaling infinite. And now feel this pulsating through your body, through every cell, every fiber, healing, restoring, repairing, and transmuting your body, your carbon-based body, into a diamond body. And now with a nice deep inhale and exhale, feel a burst of light moving through your physical body into your auric field, and just activating your Christ of light body, and just feel all that energy pouring into you from divine infinite source within you. And just take a nice deep breath in and allow these beautiful plasma rainbow frequencies to course through your body, through your auric field, and around you as you breathe in. And say to yourself, I am God, sovereign, free. And feel this beautiful energy moving through your toric field and expanding out into the space, the room in which you are. And keep breathing in and exhaling infinite, and see that energy expanding out into your house. And once again, breathing in. And feel that energy expanding out into your neighborhood. Beautiful, loving rainbow plasma light. And breathing in, and feel that energy expanding out into your village, town, city, state, region, country. And now finally, until it's encasing the entire planet with this beautiful plasma rainbow frequencies of divine infinite source emanating out, out, out into the universe and into the next universe and into the next universe and on into the infinite. And now with your next breath, just bring all that divine infinite energy back into you, into the center of your entire being, into your core essence, into your heart complex. And just feel the energy pulsating throughout you, and know you are infinite. You are infinite. You have the power of infinite, divine infinite source at your beckoning call. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I'll say hello to you, divine infinite human beings, who are all that is, ever have been, and ever can be. Your divine infinite love, your divine infinite truth, your divine infinite source. And I send that to you, that energy. So we all have this energy within. How does that feel? Anybody did it with me?
Oh, lots of people. I feel amazing. So we have Angeline said she needed this, and beautiful, and Melissa's melting, and so lots of people. Esmeralda Van Malday is giving some hearts. So yeah, that was amazing. I love, just connecting to source that way. It's such a beautiful way to uplift anything that's going on, releasing any of the negative, and just really being present with, with my body and, the source around us.
Well, I really want to, I was really reticent to come back on here. And, I've had quite a journey myself, but I feel like this is the key right now to that power. It's really an inside job. And as we all step into our infinite human Christ bodies at this higher vibration, game over. That we're not even in the game anymore. It's beyond the game. And that's how the real change is going to happen. But with that said, I just want to say it's not about spiritual bypassing. Just so important. And I just put this all in my book. My book is, like I said, total disclosure. And one of the things I noticed with a lot of people that I thought were very spiritual is when this first happened, they were in their little blissful bubble and just saying, it's all, just trust God, everything's going to go away. And, no, that's not, you can't do that, because what's going to happen is your little blissful bubble is going to pop. And you're going to be pulled back down into duality until you clear your own inner demons, really, because it's not about anything out there. Everything out there is a reflection. And every time you have something, an old hurt, an old wound, pain, then you're opening up a portal for these dark forces to come in. So you really have to, I'm in the magic triangle. I'm in Sicily, the magic triangle. So the magic triangle, at the bottom is duality, right, wrong, good, bad, evil, masculine, feminine. And so, you have to see both. You have to merge the masculine with the feminine. You have to see the dark. You have to see the light. You have to become an alchemist and there's my hands, merge and synthesize and transmute, which means you transmute that and rise above it. So I'm going to tell you a little story, since I'm a storyteller, which is true. So you don't know I'm not just, blowing smoke at my ass.
I just wanted to say, if you can explain the triangle that you just did, because a lot of people will look at that and say, "Oh, she's like, Illuminati or something," just because you did that triangle. There's a lot of people that get that misconception that because they equate these things. So maybe if you could just explain that to any.
Okay, well, I go into this in the book, so I can't go to big detail. But all the spiritual symbols that we have that are of the true essence have been hijacked and inverted. So you will see all these, the third eye, the seeing eye, the Merkaba, which is now the Star of David, which really means Merkaba, light vehicle body in Hebrew. I mean, I go into this in detail, but the triangle, not this triangle. I know I look like an Illuminati person. Sorry, I won't do that. Okay, but the true triangle, the true spiritual triangle is about not a pyramid where there's a few at the top and everybody's a slave at the bottom, for God's sakes, no. It is about, I'm in the magic triangle of Sicily, which is about rising above duality, because just like a pendulum, I have one, when you hold a pendulum up here, it's very still at the top, but at the bottom, when it swings, it goes back and forth. It's caught in duality, which right now, we are in World War III. World War III, and you know how it's being waged? Inside of us and with each other, which is not where we want to go. Divide and conquer is happening. So it's the vax, the anti-vax, the mask, the not the mask, the Republicans, the Democrats. It's all just division, division, division. And everyone's caught in these lower frequencies of duality, swinging back and forth at the bottom of the pendulum, right? When at the apex, okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, come on. At the apex of the pendulum, it's perfectly still, just like we were in our meditation. Peaceful, still, and that is ascension, because you are ascending or inwardly ascending into the higher frequencies of love and true eternal living light, not false light. Okay, the false light is the lower frequencies, and this whole war we're in a war, is a war of consciousness, a war over frequencies, a war over you and your soul. So how do you win the war? You don't you move. Everything is to try to keep you back down, pulling you back down into the game, into the distractions, into the drama. And whenever you give away your infiniteness, your attention, your
Participate
and your focus, because thought directs energy. That's the alchemical premise. And true okay, I know people, I hear them talking right now. Okay, no, it's not a voodoo thing. I'm not talking about black magic. True alchemy is, the definition is, my book has it, so I can't remember everything I wrote because it's 30 years of research. But true alchemy is returning that which is to its true divine essence. So that's what alchemy is. It's transmuting or returning. It's really returning. It's like the David. When Michelangelo carved the David, what he did was he found the piece of marble, and he said, David's in there. I'm just going to carve away everything that isn't him. So I'm saying to you, you are infinite. All you have to do is remove the finite. Duality is finite. Okay, all this that's going on is finite. So with that said, though, okay, I'm going to tell you my story, because what happened to me is, I was finishing my book, and Christmas, I moved into my new villa here in Sicily, which is incredible. It's beautiful. I saw it 2 years ago, and it finally came to me, overlooking the ocean, beautiful, modern, out in the middle of the country, away from a lot of the, I can say that word, 5 towers and all that stuff. Hard to get internet, actually, which I'm glad of. Which is why I moved to Sicily in the first place, because I've been very, very attacked over the years with 5G beam steering, very, very ill. So I was here, and I got locked out of my villa the first night I got here, and I was in the middle of nowhere. No phone, no key. The key was locked in the door. What did I do? So what had happened was a lot of unresolved issues were still brewing inside of me. In fact, I was really feeling good, but there was this anger deep inside of me. And I was angry that people weren't waking up fast enough. I have to admit, I was here in Italy. It was March. I knew exactly what was happening from day one. China couldn't talk because they're all, the communists have them. I was like the only person that knew the moment I saw it. And my computer had been attacked, which happens a lot to me. And I only had my little iPad. So I got out and I just started going live every day. And I think that's actually Riley found me, and she, connected, and she started doing it. And I just did do something. Everyone get out there, start talking, start saying. And I was nailing it. I was telling people exactly what was happening. I know what's happening. I've known it for a long time. The script is so simple. They're following the script to the T. It's really I read the script. And all I was doing was pointing out the plot points. Okay, now we're doing the lockdown. Pretty soon, now we're doing this testing. Pretty soon the jabs are coming, and microchips, all that. It's all cryptocurrency. It's all just playing out. They haven't changed. They haven't changed their story. But I was telling the story. My Facebook account was terminated, blogs deleted, my videos censored, And so, but I just kept on. I was a warrior and kept talking because I felt it was time. And I saw a lot of my spiritual friends who've been following a spiritual teacher that I don't follow anymore, but I did, and other psychics, intuits that worked with me in festivals, psychic fairs and stuff. We all did readings, and I thought they were so, intuitive. I thought their eyes, their third eye was so open, and they were asking me, "What should we do? What should we do?" And I said, "I can't tell you what to do. You need to go to source for your answers, because that's the whole point of this. It's to learn to trust yourself." So
and everybody's journey is different. So that's why you have to connect to source for your own answers, because no one can give you those answers, because only you and source have the answers that are specific to you.
And that's the bottom line on this planet. We've been engineered genetically. We've had our own SIM card, i.e. pineal. Also the pine cone, I read all about that, is the symbol of Sicily. The pine cone has been closed, and like a cell phone, or like this computer right now, it's like right now, boom, the SIM card's taken out. We can't talk, right? We can't talk anymore. Our multidimensional, nature has been co-opted, cut off, taken, hijacked. And so we can't we can't connect with source. We haven't been able to for eons, 26,800 years and more. So now we're going back online, which we're trying to. And but we've had to look to people outside of ourselves. And that's the problem right now. Everyone, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you're following, you're looking, when you start looking outside of yourself, the minute you do that, and not to source, you're giving away your power. Hey, where'd you go, Jesse? I was looking at you. So, Jesse. Okay, so that's the problem. So with me, I was angry. This was totally wrong. This was totally off. But I was angry at people for not waking up fast enough. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to see everything. I wanted to see everyone go to source right away. And I saw my spiritual people putting on their muzzles, getting their injections. And I was like, holy Toledo, So I got angry. I was also nervous. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. My Kiki was locked in the house, She's in my arms right now. Kiki, you want to say hi? So anyway, I kicked the door. The glass door. I kicked it once. It didn't open. I kicked it again. It opened. I cut my tendons, severed my ligaments. And this is a true story, guys. I went to the hospital during COVID. They would not see me until they raped my nostrils. They did it 4 times. And I cut it. It shut off my third eye completely and my crown chakra. I couldn't find anyone to operate on me. They said I had to stay in the hospital. You can't go out. You can't come in till this was Christmas Eve till January 4th. Checked myself out. I laid in bed for a week. Couldn't drive. Couldn't do anything. nobody. I just moved here. I didn't have any friends or anyone around me. And I finally found a private doctor in the clinic in Palermo that would operate on me. And he operated Christmas Eve. The name of the doctor was Dr. DARPA. If anyone knows anything about what DARPA is, it's basically the name of a very dark military. It's part of a branch of the U.S. military of technology. It's basically the power behind all of what's going on now that has weaponized our technology.
So it's the think tanks. It's the think tanks. So what they have is DARPA is a set group of military intelligence that they think about and plan what's going to happen with humanity. So they're the think tanks behind the engine, behind the satanic system that we're all kind of trapped in.
Behind the genocide, basically.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. They're the master satanic Luciferian cult minds behind everything that's going on with the 5G, the SpaceX, the COVID cover up, it's so Dr. DARPA hacked my poor little foot. And then I had a really bad infection in the hospital, one of those staph infections, which I almost died from. And he sent me home with no antibiotics. He took me off the antibiotics, and my foot was filled with pus, and he said, "That's good. Just smear honey over it." So I sat at home. My foot was festering. I mean, I don't want to go into the detail, but the pus was coming out, and I was, he was trying to kill me. So thank God, I finally got in the system. I found a doctor who'd been trained in America. He properly diagnosed the root cause of my disease, my infection, found the right antibiotics. A friend of mine, I don't know if she's listening, Serena, who saved my life. Thank you, Serena. Came, stayed with me in Kiki, took care of Kiki, gave me shots of antibiotics, drove me to the doctor, drove me away, fed me, did everything for me. So I survived. I survived. So the last chapter of my book is it's called Smearing Honey Over Pus. So spiritual bypassing is you cannot smear honey over pus. You cannot say, DARPA, this is all going away, the 5G is going away. I'm going to make that very clear because I'm going to take you to another level here. But the first of the bottom of the dualities, you have to see the dark, you have to see the light, you have to see it all. You have to know what you're looking at in this upside down, inverted world of illusion. You have to have full disclosure, a red pill enema, okay? You have to give it to yourself. Again, then you really have to go inside. The pus inside me was very deep, very personal. It was Christmas Eve, and I began to look into, true to the book Peter and I wrote, all healing is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And you have to heal all of your past life traumas, and you have to look deep into your shadow self. And believe me, talk about a hole, deep hole. I think we all have it. And I had such deep issues that went back even to the fall of humanity, which I talk about in my book, the first human Holocaust and the separation from the mother God. And we were all facing that. And the schism from, with the male imposter God, the father, that has taken over the mother and the God, the true mother, the true God aspect of I call it infinite God source. And I had to look at my mother wound, my personal mother wound, and the miasma from my mother's side, which was dark, very deep. And I wrote about it earlier, but I hadn't really faced it. And, I come from a lineage that my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother tried to abort my grandmother, while she was inside of her, because she was worried they wouldn't have enough money. And my grandmother held the scar on her heel. So the day she died from her mother trying to kill her with the coat hanger or something. And then she tried to give her away. and then likewise my mother, because it keeps repeating down through the generations, this, and there's also among the women, okay, because I talk about the divine feminine has been so co-opted because it's the most powerful force, because the strength, true strength, is in our softness. It's in the power of love. And the women, have embodied that divine feminine, which has been co-opted by the whole masculine. In fact, my spiritual teacher, I had two of them, masculine and feminine, who was a ex-army sergeant, used to say, guys, he called everyone guys. He said, guys, it's the men who got us in this problem. It's you women who are going to get us out. And I really believe that. I think it's the wise women, especially the older women. And I just want to say, I don't do age. I never celebrate my birthday because I don't do that. But I think now, really, I'm so proud of how many years I've walked on this planet and all the experiences I have, because it's made me ready for the job. And I feel like part of my job is calling out to the wise women, the crones, because in any indigenous culture, it's the wise women, the older women that our current society renders, useless. You're not a sex toy anymore. You're not a child bearer. You're useless to us, But we're the wise ones. We're the ones that embody compassion and love, and the caringness, that the healing that needs to take place on our planet right now.
Yeah, and the givers of life, and and life is love, and that's the big connection of, that's why women are so powerful.
Well, I want to go beyond the biological, because that's been so forefront. Cool, miracle of life, all that, yes, but the embodiment of the divine feminine, because the divine feminine has been all but eradicated. The divine feminine is that expansive, that gives birth. What it gives birth to is a divine masculine. In my book is its journey of Peter and I, of twin souls, and how we had to, it's a lot about twin souls, and how it's not the fairy tale everyone thinks it is. Because the truth is, if you're lucky enough to find your twin soul, you don't kill each other, because you usually love and hate each other, because you bring out everything in each other, and that's because you're balancing it. Because we've been plagued with a very, very strong sexual misery program, and the woman has been basically, females have been shrouded in what I call the lunar matrix, of the moon, which is not supposed to be here, okay? And we're not the false light of the moon. We're supposed to be equated with the moon. The moon is a weapon. The moon is wreaking havoc on our planet, and it's also creating all kinds of sexual misery implants in the females. So we are solar also. And we've been equated, the divine feminine has been inverted again. It's the high spiritual, like the triangle and everything else, into the Baphomet, the divine feminine, the pure mother God has been inverted into the Baphomet. The women, there's all this kind of sexual fear from the whole false creation story, of Eve, the woman who caused all the sins of mankind, who talked Adam, into eating from the tree of knowledge. Oh, what a horrible thing, to eat from the tree of knowledge. We did a film about that at my film school in Florence, Italy, called Evolution, where she walked through a piazza naked, eating an apple and throwing the core out, and it was about how men have been pigeonholing women for eons, defining them as beautiful, childbearers, sexy, whatever they wanted women to be. So anyway, so freeing that, the feminine, so the feminine can give birth to the divine masculine, because the men, you guys are so wounded too. The wounded male, this whole, gotta be tough, I gotta be strong, I've gotta, and so we just have a mess now between the masculine and feminine, the men and women who are trying to come together in this holy sacred union, alchemical union of Hirogamis, which is the first step towards ascension. You have to bring together the dualities. It's what it's all about. It's all about that. So with that said, I had to do a lot of inner healing with my mother because I'd felt really abandoned on Christmas Eve. My mother has dementia, and then I was kind of cast out from my family after my father died by my brothers, and then I felt all that grief that was bottled up inside of me. That was the pus that had to come out, and that's the transmutation. You have to face your demons, your inner demons, your fears, your wounds, your hurts, your blames, and then just heal them. And then all that's left is just love for yourself. I think you can finally love yourself, and that's my journey. I think you can kind of sense when someone does that, and it frees you a lot. Without it, you're not going home. You're not going home until you do that. And that's what we're doing right now. We're all walking each other home.
So Gwen is asking here, is all this information in your new book?
Yes, it is. Is that Gwen?
Gwen Jones. So her book, you can get it at the infinitehuman.com, the website scrolling at the bottom, if you'd like more information on Elizabeth and, her new book.
And please subscribe to my channel because I send out newsletters all the time. I'm really feel like part of my job right now is just sending out the vibration for and almost collecting, pulling in, and pulling up the co-healers of the planet, the key builders of the new infinite earth. I think it's time for us to start moving out of the duality and finding solutions so that as the dust settles, people will have a place, to go. We need to start positioning ourselves for a new beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the book is called The Infinite Human.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Gwen was just asking that. So, yes, they've been totally looking to, feminize men, emasculate women. They've been doing with over hormones, a lot of estrogen that they've been pouring out into the cans, and all kinds of different things, just so that way people will have hormonal imbalance. And that's why what Elizabeth was saying, we have to look in and heal the inside, because they've been doing everything to mess it up, whether it's through chemicals and as well as through all the energy and all the frequencies that they've been trying to keep people very confused and away from themselves.
Actually, it goes even deeper. They actually have AI implants and overlays over our genital parts that create the Kundalini energy that is supposed to rise. And I talk about this in the book, because when you find your sacred partner, the sex is incredible, not because it's just the physical, but because you actually are stoking the fires of your Kundalini, causing that serpent fire to rise up in the highest meaning of the true meaning of the Cadus, which is a false Cadus. It's been hijacked, is that serpent fire energy to activate all your chakras and go up to the top of your head into your higher chakras. So you are there. You're God realized in nirvana, whatever you want to call it. You're in the zone, which I was very much. But then, because Peter was a physician and he was working within the fallen trying to correct what's happened, trying to stop what's happened now, which is to correct the fallen Kadu system of the medical. Okay, those serpent fire energies are programmed to go back down into the earth, feeding the shadow creatures, these whole satanic ritual, we see the whole sex trafficking thing, the pedophilia and all that is all about creating loosh to feed to feed these shadow creatures, and to keep holding our earth in a lower vibrational frequency by taking all these sacred sites, these ley lines all over our planet. They've all been the portals, stargates, they've all been hijacked, co-opted, and fed this low negative energy to keep our Mother Earth, which is our body and our Mother Earth, are so intricately connected. So everything they do to Earth, they do to us. And now they're using the AI with the SpaceX spins, and 5G, and all the frequencies to lower our frequencies. So that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a war, which we can rise above it. We can. You've got to just keep, And I always say, I love the dark side to death. That's the key. You can't push it away, because then you're in the war. You can't fight it. You can't, hide from it. You have to embrace it. And through the power of love, mostly self-love, I had to love, for me personally, I had to find the adult which had been absent, my adult inside of me, who could then give the inner child that was frightened. My inner child was so frightened because it had been running the show for so long, living all over the planet by myself ever since Peter had physically left. And I was just a little terrified, child trying to, with my little dog, like, the Wizard of Oz, me and Toto, running away from the Wicked Witch or everything. And I had to find that adult side of me that said, I can take care of you. You're okay. I'm going to handle this. You play, you create. And then your child can come out and have fun and play and be the creativeness. But so you have to, the point is you have to start loving yourself and love the dark side to death, because that's the only thing that puts it to bed, that extinguishes it. Love to the dark side is poison. And when you stand in your truth with love, have you ever tried that? People used to, when I was walking around my crutches, some lady, I don't wear masks, but I had to wear a mask to go buy something. So I can't breathe with a mask on. It's just that simple. I don't do it for political reasons. I can't breathe. So I was hobbling around my mask. Serena, I don't know if she's listening, but she was with me. And this lady, this Sicilian woman, attacks me. You don't have your mask on. You don't know. Signora, and I'm like, I can't. She's like fighting me, and I'm like fighting back with my crutch, And my girlfriend Serena said I reminded her of Enrico Totti, who was this Italian war hero that had one leg and went into battle with his crutch raised, But again, you know what I've done since then? I've said, when people do that, I just look at them and I just beam love at them. And I just say, I love you. Oh my God, they shriek away from that. It's like you're throwing poison at them. And I am really sending out love, So, wow, love is so powerful against the dark entities. They hate that. And they don't want it, because that you surround yourself with this torrent of love. It just protects and offends you. So that's why you want to get to that space where you don't have any portals left of fear. I heard someone say the other day, almost everyone's vaccinated here in Italy. I mean, where I am. And someone said, they're going to come to the house and start knocking on the door and forcing you. And I went, boom, I'm not going to buy into, I'm not doing that, But you let that come into you, you see, then someone will show up, because you're creating your reality. You are creating your reality moment to moment with the words, I am. So
And the only thing they can't control is love. And that's why they send those dark energies, with these people, attacks, and they just want you to get out of that love vibration. And as soon as you stay in it and you send love back, the dark doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to react to this love, because they're trying to control you with that dark energy. And when you don't respond to it, then it sends the whole matrix out of confusion. Why is it not responding? Why am I not getting attacked back? Why am I not, in that chaos or confusion? And then it, doesn't understand itself. So we have a question here from Susan Hendy. So what can individual people do to help heal the earth?
Heal yourself. Susan, I have to tell you, Susan brought me back from the dead. After Serena, Susan, oh my God. And sorry, Susan, I just want to say, toot your horn for a minute. This woman is the most amazing, gifted, talented, uh, best kept secret. So she's just amazing. And thank you, Susan. You saved my life. So I've got some great people there. And Gwen brought Sasha Stone to her place in Kentucky, by the way. So we're all so connected. It's really a very small community we're forming here as we extract ourselves from the fallen earth. But I want to say one thing about Susan, who has helped me, because my third eye was totally closed off after this operation, and I couldn't. I run 100% on intuition, everything. And I could not intuit. I couldn't hear Peter. I couldn't hear my guides. I couldn't do anything. So she helped me. She bridged me back as a co-healer. And after I did some deep inner work with my mother, she told me once, this is how amazing she is. Once we were talking over the phone, we met on Facebook. So we were having a chat. And she goes, before I'm saying bye. She goes, wait, someone wants to tell you something. And she goes, her name's Margaret. She had no idea that happened to be the name of my mother. And she said, Margaret, because my mother has dementia. She can't even, think. But she said, Margaret wants to say thank you. Because through my healing myself, I had healed her. I had healed my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and all the way back. Because as you heal yourself, you heal all of your ancestry and your future selves, past and future selves. So as you heal, you are healing everyone, in your lineage and the earth around you. Okay, we are guardians of the earth. So we are returning to our rightful place as the guardians of the earth, and we will know how to become. We will become the embodiment of these higher frequencies that are coming into our planet, because we are in an ascension cycle, and we've just entered a photon belt, which is the highest known form of light in existence, you are now feeling. And as we ground ourselves, which Susan kept telling me, you need to ground yourself, because I couldn't walk, and I had to move one foot in front of the other very slowly, grounding myself with each step. So as we walk on our earth and ground ourselves, we are pulling in and anchoring in these higher frequencies of what I call the new infinite earth, because there is a new earth. The old earth is gone, guys. It's gone. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of grieving, and that's fine. You got to grieve. It's gone. And now, which earth are you going to go? We pretty much know the agenda. I don't even have to say it. The whole planetoid, burnt out, non-organic, AI, bot, slave, hive-minded Earth, which is where they're hurting us, putting stuff into us to transhumanize us, or the infinite Earth, grounded in the higher dimensions, the fifth dimensions, as transmuted, not transhumanized, transmuted infinite human beings, Christ beings. Those are the, door number one. Door number. And so how do you do it? You do what they don't want you to do. Everything they're throwing at us is to stop you and to embroil you and to keep you scammed back into the dream spell. Does that answer your question, Susan?
And that's, patterns do repeat, and that's why it's been such a challenge for people, because they've made these patterns, and once you do heal, then you're able to heal, like you said, the past, the present, the future, because, they want those patterns, they want that, energy repeating from whatever traumatic energy it is. And, you ultimately, when you do heal yourself and you do, release these energy blockages that, most likely came from generation to generation, then you actually, help the world and heal the world, because, you are part, and you are a very important part of, what this whole entire, universe is about. We have another question here from Elizabeth Sunshines. She says, I have a question. What if you desire love once you love yourself and cannot find new love? What does this mean? Am I bound to be alone forever?
Oh, Elizabeth, do you know what Elizabeth means? Elizabeth means lighthouse of God, dedicated to God, lighthouse of God. And in my book, because it's my life story, I was fortunate enough to meet my other half, and then I lost him, physically, and it was so devastating. But one of the things I learned, and Susan helped to remind me and other people along the way, is that I never lost him, because actually everyone has a twin soul, and your twin soul is you. You are the same soul. You were split apart. And I have a whole part in my book about Plato talking about how the ancient mythology says that we were one being, we were one organism, masculine and feminine, and the gods, and I do a chapter on who were the gods, because they're not what we think, they're not divine infinite source. The gods were jealous of us because we were too powerful. So they split us in two and curled our, selves to the opposite ends of the earth, and we've had to refine ourselves, to become whole. So you have an infinite, you have a soulmate. I want everyone to know they have a twin soul. Everyone does, whether they are with him in the physical or not, because Peter is always with me. He will always be with me. When I finish my job here, we will be in the same frequency, the same vibration, but he's with me right now. You have something you want to say, Peter? Peter says love. Peter says love is the cosmic glue that binds everything together. So the more you love yourself, the more you love, you will bring in that other part of yourself into you more and more, and know that that part of you is there. And then many, of course, I don't know your story, but many, if you're of service especially, have decided, twin souls have decided to incarnate together, and they both have physical form in this life. Does that sound too airy-fairy? Does that make sense?
Makes total sense, and
So
only you can separate yourself from yourself.
Yes, and they're always with you, and many times you find each other, but the one of you doesn't want to be healed, and that's a big tragedy. It happens a lot with the male parts, because the female is divine feminine is always wanting to heal and bring back to wholeness, and a lot of the men just aren't ready for that yet. The whole
Program not to heal.
The whole program not to heal. You can know the whole ocean. I live in Italy, so come on, Mamismo is here running rampant, and you can know the whole ocean with one drop, but they want all the drops. They're chasing all the drops. There's a drop. Oh, there's another drop. Oh, there's another drop. So that gets in the way. It's distractions, silly distractions. So to you, Elizabeth, House of Light, House of God's Light, know that your twin soul is there, even if you're fighting with him. He's physically the highest aspect, the higher self of you and them are one. So you just have to, through love, and even begin communicating with them if they're not in the physical. Get to know them, and they'll be in your dreams. Peter's always in my dreams. Talking to them, and then perhaps, if you're fortunate, if it's part of your story, one day they'll appear. They'll up here. When Peter appeared, we met each other that same day. We went out that night, and the first moments alone, we just stared in each other's eyes for I don't know how, for an eternity. Soul recognition, to recognize each other. It's magic. It's wonderful. It's great.
That's
I wish
beautiful.
Could have it.
So can you tell us a little bit about, kind of your early journey with Peter and the medical, how you guys and what you guys were doing? You said for about 20 years, he was a medical doctor, and, I know there would be a battle between wanting to actually, heal a person compared to wanting to be a part of the medical, mafia system, the sorcery, just giving them pills, popping them this way, and not really looking to help people to eat better, to exercise more, to do things that can actually help heal a person, but just kind of shoo them kind of in the whole kind of medical mafia way.
Well, that is our first book, which is on the website, The Pathway Home. And we talk all about that. In fact, he talks about how we first met on the beach, is in there. And it was his own healing journey, mostly. Mine too, but I'm kind of doing a lot of my healing now. But as he moved through the medical system, it was his awakening to how corrupt it was, and his very difficult job. He had big cojones. He had big cojones. The guy was amazing to be in that and to be the change. And he was very soft. He not at first, but he got so wise and so soft before he finished his job. And it was amazing. He practiced what we wrote, what we preached, what we learned from our spiritual teachers. The healing is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And if you can imagine a gynecologist, this is a, creme de la creme, as they are told in med school, from Tufts, one of the top Ivy League medical schools, that would sit there with a indigent patient for an hour, just talking about how she felt guilty because she had a stillborn child, and all just what I letting out the pus, letting out the wounds, the emotional wounds, the spiritual wounds. And of course we were vegetarians, our first book talks about that. And we got run out of communities. We got paid to leave Idaho because we would tell people to become vegetarians, and it was cattle country, and we were loved and hated, both. And he taught at the medical school in Hawaii, and what he taught to these students was something that was not taught in medical school, and it was love, compassion for themselves. The first chapter is physician heal thyself. So part of it was his own healing journey, and we would give the copy of the book to his colleagues and everything. And Peter was also technical. He was one of the pioneers of laparoscopic surgery, which ironically he had used in his past life. He was a Nazi doctor, and and I was his nurse. And, because one of the things we have to realize as we awaken is we've been here for a long time. We've had a lot of lives, and we've all fallen. So I see people that are take the call ball up and, hang them by the balls or whatever. We've all been on both sides playing all the roles in this. We've all, you have to come clean. And as you arise, you have full recall of all your past lives. It's just like other chapters in the book. And in that life, also, I had killed myself. I committed suicide. So I had that karma, and he had the karma he had experimented on Jewish women. So what he did in this life was he went to Germany, got that laser technology that had been developed there during the war, brought it to America, became a pioneer and taught it, and created like hysterectomies that were totally non-invasive. You would just pull it out from the uterus, so that the patient would instead of spending a few weeks in bed, she'd be healed in 2 or 3 days. I wish my doctor had laparoscopic. Imagine. So he tried to use technology to help to create non-invasive, and he corrected his karma. He had a lot of karma he had to pay back. Ooh, he had a lot of karma. But he paid it all back. He got it. He did it the right thing. So, and that was part of his journey in medicine. And he walked the walk. He empowered women. My God, he empowered so many women. We worked with first in the Indian reservations with the Native Americans who'd lost all hope. They were diabetic, alcoholic. We worked with them. We worked with the migrant workers in Mexico who were in their fields, the baby's head was crowning, and they'd come into the hospital because they were indigent. He worked with the poor blacks of South Carolina and tried to get federal funding and healthcare for all the indigent. We worked with the Mormon communities. Oh my God, we worked with all in America, all the forgotten, because America's disaster with no healthcare. That's a crime, criminal. Everyone should have healthcare. So we worked with that. He did it. He was a dynamo. He was a very grounded person, and he got funding. He got laparoscopic surgery equipment in the middle of like Beaver Dam, Kentucky. You know, I mean, he did so much. And so, yeah, you were great. Good job.
Wow, sounds like such a beautiful human.
Yeah, he was pretty amazing. He was Hippocrates, by the way.
He was what?
Hippocrates.
Could you explain that?
Okay, well, let me tell you, it's in my book, so put that in your book. I took him to this really cool place in Ghost Ranch in New Mexico once, where I'd gone for a spiritual retreat when I was a child, and we were looking through bookshelves, and I don't know if you're familiar with Out on a Limb by Shirley MacLaine. It was one of the movies that woke him up, because when I met him, Peter was a man of science. He didn't even believe in God, and he was lost. He had been broken by his wife, his second wife, who was Jewish and who had basically said, "I rid myself of you." So he was broken, and so he had a spiritual awakening through this movie, and he had out of body experiences. And then in the Canary Islands, when we went there, kind of to get away from things, and we became awakened, because it was the mountaintops of Atlantis. So we kind of returned from where we had fallen from all those eons ago. And he had a Kundalini awakening, because I used to put crystals on him, and I do energy work with crystals, and he didn't know what had happened. He was like, "My God, what happened? This energy came up at me." I said, "Oh, you had a Kundalini experience. Damn it, I've been wanting to have one of those." That was what it was. But he needed to have it, and he couldn't explain it in his medical books. So anyway, the point being is that we went to, after we started to wake up, we went there, and this book falls from the shelf on his head. And he's like, "What?" He picks up the book, and it's The Life of Hippocrates. And we start reading it. And, it's like Hippocrates was really into like honey. Again, honey on pus, I just got an aha with that. Thank you. I got it. But, it was just amazing, all the similarities of his life. And he began to have past life memories of that. And before he passed away, we actually ended up living in Cyprus for a while. And I bought him a huge bust of Hippocrates, kind of like, you've completed your journey, because he was kind of connecting the dots personally, but also in modern medicine, interesting story. So he had a lot to do with that. He had to be there.
So what would you say, we are all here now at this time, what would be, people's kind of soul purpose?
You know what? Can I just read you a portion from my book?
Of course, that would be amazing.
Just a minute here, guys. We got time, so there's really no rush. I hope I don't disconnect you. Here. Okay. Can I make you smaller? Okay, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is how it begins. I'll just begin. There is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that human is you. I wrote these words over 30 years ago while I was working on my thesis for my master's in mental health counseling. Shortly after that, my computer was struck by lightning, and I managed to recover the paper and turned it into my professor, who called the idea kooky and noted it on my paper. But the idea struck and has taken the form of this book. This is the story of my amazing spiritual journey around the world and into the higher dimensions. It is filled with deep spiritual knowledge, supernatural experiences, mind-blowing cosmic downloads, moments of ecstasy laced with moments of despair. It's a hero's journey, an alchemist adventure. And then I've taken a few excerpts, but I say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay. So the point I'm making is that the Word, was God. I mean, the Word was the first vibration, the frequency of God from the God source worlds, which is where we were from. And what happened was that word was separated from God, and that's what's happened. We became separated. And now our job is to return to that frequency. That it's a frequency of that of infinite, of the God source.
And enjoy the ride.
Yeah, well, it's easy. We got and so we're all stories in the mind of God, the divine dreamer, the divine storyteller. The further we stray away from the original word, which is God, or the original vibrational frequency of God, the more our story begins to unravel, the more pain, suffering, and confusion we experience until, like the prodigal son, we decide to return home to God. This is the story of the hero, the heroine, the shaman, the alchemist. This is my story. This is my hero's journey home. So I encourage everyone to, you're on a spiritual journey right now, which we call life. And so you're writing your story, you're creating your story with the words I am. And I always encourage everyone to, in fact, I'm going to start doing a workshop on that, to help people to rewrite their life story. So this is just a little excerpt from my story. I can go on. Questions?
Yep. Of
My
course.
story. An unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. My story begins in New York, where I was born the same year Fidel Castro took over Cuba, the Dalai Lama fled Tibet, Aldous Huxley warned the medical community about the dangers of future medicine, Walt Disney released Sleeping Beauty, Mattel unveiled the Barbie, NASA announced its selection of the first astronauts, and the Presbyterian Church accepted women preachers. My name, and this is for Elizabeth here. My parents named me Elizabeth Lee Steer, Elizabeth meaning God's house of light. I did not know that then, but I was to be a light in the world of great darkness. Through many times, my light was doused into smoldering ashes. My divine sparkle was my divine sparkle was always reignited. Lee means to be a leader, and steer, well, to steer or guide people. When I married Peter, I took on the name Monroy, which means my king, or in my case, my queen. This is his story as well as mine. Your name, as it appears on your birth certificate, is your logos, which will guide you to your life's purpose. My job was to be a leader who steers people back to the kingdom of God's eternal living light. This is my logos. If you look closely, every soul has set up signs and symbols to help them remember who they are and why they came here to earth. They are in the lines in your hand, the bumps on your head, the numerology and geomancy of your name, the astrology of your birth chart, written on bumper stickers everywhere. Your job is to properly interpret them. All right, so there's a clue about what you need to do. The obstetrician christened me at birth a perfect baby. Every year at the time of my birth, my father would retell the story of how perfect I was. I would always feel it was a standard I could never reach, a bar raised too high. But now that my dear father is gone, I realize it was the message he had set up before my birth to remind me throughout my life that despite all the challenges I faced, underneath all my perfections, I was perfect. We human beings are all perfect. We have just forgotten. This spiritual journey we call life is simply the process of releasing our imperfections, our finite selves, and returning to our true, divine, infinite state of perfection. To be infinite, you need only let go of the finite. So does that kind of help with the question? It's a
Totally.
long.
Totally. No, that was beautiful. And, as soon as you put labels on anything, you kind of separate yourself from that divinity, because we are all connected. And once you say I'm this, I'm that, away from what this beautiful collective is, then, you're no longer in that, collective vibration. And that's what they're wanting to control. And we are perfect. We're born perfect. I look at a baby, it's perfect. We're not born sinners. We're not born imperfect. It's just learned behavior. It's just what the whole matrix wanted you to understand, is that you're not. And what Elizabeth is saying is you are. And I resonate with that 100%.
And I like the whole hero's journey that Joseph Campbell so intuitively, incredibly exposed and wrote about in his collection of books. I always used it at my film school. And if you can really watch this archetypical structure that runs within every story throughout history, from all the ancient myths, Bible stories, films, it's in every film, it's in every novel. It's the hero's journey, which I talk about in my book. But right now we are all heroes in our own journey. Only problem is many of us have forgotten that it's our story. We're the hero in the story. We're living someone else's story, or we're allowing someone else to hold, I call it the pen, the magic pen that is writing our story. And they're telling us what we're unworthy. We're sinners. We're infected with this virus. We have to do this. We have to do that. We can't breathe. We can't see people. We can't laugh. We can't be human. We can't ascend. And so we have to take back the pen. So to people, you have to take back the pen and write with the power of I am infinite. I am truth. I am love. Write your story. It takes willpower, and that willpower will dovetail with the will of God's will, and then you're unstoppable. Then you have the power. You have the power.
And people really fear the death, but once you realize that you're infinite, there's nothing to fear, and then you're able to write that story any way you like without the fear of the unknown.
There is no death. I mean, Peter's proven that to me, because every day there's just I have so many stories about symbols and ways he communicates to me in my book. Peter Pan is such a huge story. In fact, when I moved here because there was a Peter Pan beach here, and I knew I was supposed to move to Sicily, and whenever that Cuba or Peter Pan comes up, because Peter was a Cuban refugee, and he was one of the first boys to escape Castro. And he got on a plane after being in hiding for 2 years with some money sewn into his clothes by his mother. And he was told to get off the plane and hide in Miami because the plane was going to the Bahamas. And he did. He bought a menthol cigarette, smoked it, waited till the plane left, presented himself at the customs agents, and didn't speak any English. And the guy said, well, you're going to have to go back, And he knew he would be killed because Castro was killing young boys then. So he started to cry, and he gave a phone number of a priest, and the guy called it, and the priest came and got him and took him to one of the first boys' camps. And this was the beginning of what later was called the Operación Pedro Pan, or Peter Pan Operation Peter Pan, they called it. And it saved about 14,000 minors, Cuban boys, from being killed. And I think Andy Garcia was among them, a lot of these, famous Cubans. And they were all wealthy children that came, with nothing. And they all became like the CEOs of this company, or movie stars, very successful people, because they were very, intelligent kids. So whenever I see Peter Pan, I found it was Peter Pan Beach here. I go to Peter Pan Beach every day. And right beside it, that's why I chose Casa de Mare del Golfo, where I am now, because right beside Peter Pan Beach is another beach called Elisabetta.
That's
Elizabeth
beautiful.
Beach. Yeah,
so it kind of shows you, it shows you you're in alignment.
And there is no death, because these people that are no longer in our frequency and our vibration in the density of our physical vehicle. As John Lennon said, death is like changing vehicles. So, and when you can move beyond that fear, out of body experiences are good for that. You're free, you're free. You're free. Because the dark side cannot hold you without the fear. The fear pulls you back down into the lower frequencies. So back to the hero's journey. With that said, like I said, I love the dark side. And if as a writer and I talk a lot about Hollywood too, and the dark side of Hollywood. But I taught screenplay writing. I took screenplay writing for a long time. I've written many screenplays. And the dark side is, you got to have a good villain, because the dark side creates a character arc, which means the character has someone to play off of. The more awful the villain, the more it pushes the hero to really explore themselves and face their own dark side, because it's just a reflection of the outer dark side, of the inner dark side. So right now we got a great villain. Come on, you don't get any worse than the Black Sun reptilians and the Cabal, and it goes so deep. And they've been oppressing us for eons. And it's our time to shine now. It's our time to we can choose a comedy or a tragedy. The definition of a tragedy is that the hero succumbs to the darkness inside of them. A comedy, it doesn't mean you laugh. It means that the hero overcomes the flaws within their character. That's a comedy. So it's again back to you with the magic pen. What story are you writing right now? Look at your life. Are you writing a comedy or are you writing a tragedy? Are you going to succumb to your fears? To worry about what people think? I ask so many people, why did you get this? And they say, oh, my family, my family wanted me to, Sometimes you got to go it alone, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you're never alone, first of all. Alone is really, as you rise to the higher frequencies, all one. I was upset Christmas Eve. I felt alone because I indulged in that. But I've learned, in fact, I had a student who did a film about all one. It's really all one, because as you rise to the higher frequencies, tells you're never alone. Your twin soul is always with you. Your spiritual family is your true spiritual family in the higher God world, source worlds is always there. Your guides are always there. And many of us are being alone right now, are being locked down, are being isolated, so we can learn that. So we can go inward and upward.
Well, I guess we only see about 10% of what's actually here in this dimension. So source, spirit, the energy, the vibrations, most people can't see the other 90%. Children, animals, they can see a lot more because they're not programmed to not be able to see these things. And then once, like what Elizabeth said, it doesn't matter if you're locked away and you're alone, you can actually start connecting to, source, God, love, energy around us. And then that connection is more than enough to never have to feel alone. And then, you can actually start working on getting messages from source. How you said, like Peter gives you messages. There's so many messages. There's so many things that we are shown, but most people, because of their blocks, they refuse to see them or refuse to understand them. And now is the time to actually connect to that source energy and start getting the messages that you're meant to receive.
Well, when you activate your chip, your microchip, your organic microchip inside of your brain, not the false one, the bad copy, the Archon bad copy, right? It's all the bad copy of us. We're the original. We have the divine technology, and they're trying to scam us into buying the artificial crap, okay? Like food, like medicine, like everything. And I write about that in my book. It's in my book. Put that in your book. Anyway, I talk about Kiki because when I traveled, I used to, bring Kiki, and I had this Kirlian camera take a picture of me holding Kiki. and I pumped up my aura real big because I wanted to, see it. And the woman who's been doing it for years, at the psychic fair, looked at it and she laughed. She said, "I've never seen that before." And there's Kiki looking at my aura. Because you're right, the spectrum of light is very small. In fact, as I write about it, the Hertz, then later was discovered the ultraviolet rays, and the whatever the red rays, I think. And then Leonardo da Vinci painted. He mixed his own paints, and he was an alchemist. I wrote an article called Leonardo da Vinci's Third Eye, and he painted, for example, something that now only X-rays have shown because he painted things that were not visible to the human eye, and now with modern technology, through X-rays they can see that there was these other figures there, or this figure just that's visible disappeared. So yeah, and as you activate your third eye, which is so key in Ascension, then you have that the sight, the second sight, the ability to see, sense. You might see it, actually see them walking in, these entities, or being around you. People are starting to do that now. Or you just might have a knowingness. You just might feel it. So many. Everyone's different. Everyone has their unique way of interacting. But we're busy, and for me personally, I've chosen to live very simply. I love living simply. I have 2 suitcases. I could pack up anytime I need to with 2 suitcases, go anywhere I need to be. Why? And I spend most of my day alone. Why? Because there's so much going on. There's so much going on. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to be distracted by, yes, I have to pump gas. I have to get food. I have to, whatever, pay the bills. But I like to keep that minimum because that's boring. And in this world, the cosmic downloads I get, are like, wow, you got to free your mind up to surf the infinite. I say surf the infinite, not just the little net, which is finite. And we're all being asked a question, I think, every day right now, is how low will you go to fit into the finite world, okay? Because what we're seeing right now, I know so many people are just, I want to get back to normal. I just want to get back to normal. I want to get back to normal. There's no normal. And the whole point, I think, of disclosure, the whole point of my book, which is full disclosure, is for everyone to see how upside down, inverted, corrupted, and crappy our Earth has been for eons. This is not something that just happened. It's been strategically happening throughout the eons, all right? So how much are you willing to give up to fit into the finite Earth, right? It's a question.
Yeah, and it's been maybe, some people say up to 6,000 years this has been kind of planned into the making. I don't really know too much past 300 years since, the Tartarian mud flood reset, because, they can program us with any books, with any, his story, because it's his story that they're telling. But, they've been in control here for a long time. So could you maybe give us...
Okay, let me read you just a little bit about that. Hello?
Yeah. Your camera went a little bit blurry.
Sorry, can you see me okay?
Yeah, I can see you. It's just blurry. For some reason, your camera just kind of went a little blurry.
I got really bad internet, and I'm so glad when that happens. It makes me so happy because I've moved all over the planet to get away from 5G. Can you see me now?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. You mind if I read you a little bit from my book here?
That's not at all. We love this.
Okay. Let me put it to you this way. Okay. The fall. All right. You like the book? It's going good? Let me read then a little bit about the infinite, okay? What is the infinite? The infinite is just that, infinite. It is all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. There is no beginning. There is no ending. It is everything which is often difficult for our finite brains to imagine. Nonetheless, it is what it is, even if you can't comprehend it. Imagine, if you will, a void. In this void, there is no light, no sound, no thought, no form, just vast infiniteness. It is in this divine, infinite, pure state of prima materia. This infinite, all-encompassing energy makes up everything within us and around us. It is known by many names: Ki, Chi, Prana, Divine Principle, Holy Spirit, Source, the Force, etc. It is not chaotic, erratic energy, as we have been taught to believe, but the infinite is love, beauty, harmony, and intelligence. It is the unified, harmonized energy of pure love and light, eternal light. It is the very building block of all creation. It is the one. It is love, the unifying, purifying force of the multiverse. The cosmic glue that binds everything together. It is the word which is God. It is the unspoken word within the breath, between the word which is God. This unspoken word is intrinsic, intuitive, instinctual means of communication of our soul. It is the way the spirits that inhabit the trees, the animals, the stars, the wind, the sea, and the Mother Earth commune with us. This inner voice of wisdom tells the birds to fly south in the winter, the seedlings to sprout in the spring, the planets to rotate around the sun, and the star to be born. This is the way a mother communicates with her unborn child. This is the untainted, true language of infinite God source. It is the unspoken divine language of truth that makes up the very fabric of all creation. It cannot be confounded, misinterpreted, twisted, or manipulated into bald-faced lies. It is the truth known only by our souls. So I think we are all tuning into that frequency, which is truth, which is our own inner divine technology. So the sole purpose of the truth is to know itself. So the infinite separated itself, creating the first distortion of vibration of love and light to better know thyself. This first emanation, vibration, or spoken word of pure love laid the foundation for the divine architecture of all creation. These creation codes contained into their infinite state, creating infinite, open, holographic architecture through divine technology that created the multiverses, universes, galaxies, star systems, solar systems, planets, and beings, all beings. All of this organic holographic multiverse was based upon open divine architecture with sequences that emerge from the center point of creation and return to it, perpetually retaining an open, living, breathing, and contracting connection to source, always preserving that which came before us. So that's important to know, that we are an organic hologram that's open and always leads to source and back from source. We were designed that way, okay, before the fall. So nothing is ever lost. What does it mean that our universe is a divine organic hologram? This means that every tiny particle which makes up the universe is also a hologram, or in simple terms, every part contains the whole. The same pieces of the divine organic hologram continue to project the whole creation created under God's natural laws, no matter how many times you fragment it. This means each tiny piece of the whole is in itself a reflection or mirror of the infinite. This is the true meaning of the essence behind the words, woman and man were created in the image of infinite God source. It means you are infinite, and you have the divine infinite within every cell of your being. If you voyage out into the universe and then back again, the journey is very similar. The neural network of your brain cells and synapses firing would look very much like the distribution of dark matter throughout the universe. The birth of a cell looks like the birth of a star. The human eye looks very similar to the nebula. The human body is made up of hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and other elements that are also found in the composition of planets and stars. We are literally made up of our Mother Earth and stardust. Therefore, you are infinite. So that's how we
Wow.
were created. We were created infinite.
Wow, you are very
Come back here,
intelligent
please.
and you write beautifully.
I'm a conduit.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm a
So
conduit.
could you maybe
Peter's intelligent.
but you guys are one, so his intelligence is your intelligence, so you're intelligent as well. So could you maybe give people some tips on how they can kind of connect to their chip or open up their chip more? Any kind of kind of tips for anybody that's interested?
Okay, so I have a whole chapter on Ascension, and historically, there's been all kinds of things people have done. I mean, people have spent years just meditating, focusing on their third eye, lifetimes. And oh my God, all kinds of practices there are. And a lot of people are taught. I did a lot of distilled water, get the metals out. We did a whole thing about that, get the metals out of your body, and sun gazing. There's so many practices. But I'm going to tell you, times have changed. The bad news is the dark side's trying to keep us down. The good news is we are in an ascension cycle. And I go through the whole entering the photon belt, the alignments of the suns, to our cosmic sun, this great central sun, the cosmic sun, Sirius, our sun. There's like 7 sun alignments. We just went through the Lion's Gate, which was a huge sun. So we're being activated. So really, just it's more like, don't put the finite. It's happening. Stay organic. Just stay organic. Don't rape your nostrils. Don't inject. Everything that you see today is trying to halt your ascension. So what do? Know what you're looking at and go the other way. And it's hard. Don't give in to peer pressure. People are always. I said, did you get? I can tell if they get it. Usually, some of them, it's Russian roulette. You never know what you're getting. There are some people that aren't, but I've seen people that have gotten it, and they're first of all, their aura is gray, their skin is gray. I told this woman the other day, I should have told her, I said, but your face, your skin's hanging off your bones. She said, Mia face or Mia Fazo. I said, I'm sorry if she says, you offended me with I said, I'm sorry if the truth offended you, but look, you got wrinkles in your eyes. I said, how old are you? She was younger than me, and she looked like gray skin, wrinkles, it's killing you. It's attacking. The whole reason they're doing this is to attack your pineal gland. So just stay out of that. Be in nature, breathe in the sun, get the sun. Look at me. I've got a lot of sun on me because I just go out there. I gaze in the sun. I just am in the sun as much as possible, which is why they want to blot out the sun, right? They're trying to like the weather wars are trying to keep us out of the sun. The sun is activating us. So it's really easy. Just don't put anything in your body that you don't, put good, clean stuff in your body. Clean water, clean food, no artificial ingredients.
And that, I think, includes, that includes what goes into your eyes, that goes what into your ears, what goes into your mouth. You want to stay organically as possible because, they're looking to get you off balance from your frequency, and from your rhythm and kind of control. I got a question. So how does Jesus fit into all of what's going on right now?
Well, okay. I'm going to blow your mind away.
I love to hear
With
that.
my next chapter. Okay, so let me just read the little excerpt. Okay.
Yeah.
These are just excerpts. It's always prefaced with personal experiences that Peter and I had, especially when we were in the mountaintops of Atlantis, in these all these incredible things that were happening to us when we were in the Canary Islands, and we came in contact with actually his ancestry, which is the Guanche, which are these tall white European people that they don't know where they came from, and it was obvious to us they were Atlanteans. So the fall, we're going to talk about the fall, and then we're going to talk about Christ, the Christ players. Okay, so in Greek mythology, there's a famous myth, the story of Andromeda, a beautiful young virgin who sacrificed to the Kraken, a terrible reptilian sea monster, to save her village. There is also the myth of Jason and his Argonauts, who traveled to the far ends of the earth to find the Golden Fleece. All these myths are deeply symbolic and hold keys to the true history, a breadcrumb trail, since all of our history has been erased, as you said, and created a new false history. So the true history of our planet and our true divine state of being. The sacrifices of Andromeda is referring to a time in our Earth's history when warring entities, through the misuse and abuse of black magic, dark science, and AI, artificial technology, ripped a hole into the Andromeda galaxy, severing our Milky Way galaxy from our mother universe in Andromeda. Modern science has stated that our two galaxies are currently in a collision course. Simply stated, we are returning home to our divine place in the multiverse before the fall. We are reuniting our two Earths. The Earth of the past and the Earth of the future are coming full circle. The future and past Earth is Tara. It exists in the higher frequencies of the fifth dimension. In Greek mythology, the Golden Fleece has the ability to heal and even resurrect the dead. So like the prodigal son returning home to our rightful parents, we are being resurrected from the dead or from the antichrist, anti-life polarities of the fallen universe we were pulled into. As we ascend, we recover our golden fleece or our golden radiant body, our golden Christ body, and ascend into the higher frequencies of our true divine infinite human status and position in the cosmos. Okay, so does that resonate at all with anyone? I know it sounds kind of
Oh yeah, and we got like a
maybe.
comment here, like I feel such synchronicity listening to so many of you, so it definitely resonates.
Okay, so I always say only take what resonates, but I've been piecing these stories together, only listening to a lot of different people and then myself, and then from my own experiences, because actually once I began to wake up and reconnect with Peter, I realized he was on Tara, the fifth dimensional Earth, and I was having future memories. And I actually began to spend, that's why I like A Simple Life, because I spent a lot of time there. In fact, we have a home there. We have a garden there. We have a Stargate there where we kind of go on, like we used to go on all these assignments to with the Native Americans or to all, and now we go through Stargates to different planets, to different assignments all the time. And I thought, I'm just imagining this, but I met another guy who I call him my dark mentor. About 5 years ago, he came into my life and pretty much gave me all this disclosure information and helped me put the things together and introduced me to different people so I could do my research for this book and myself. And he would confirm it. And he said, your imagination, that is real. This is Maya. This is the world of illusion. And he would confirm things that I saw, that Peter saw, that, and he would tell me, just like this other gal, Susan, who confirmed things with me. So I had external confirmation. So I didn't, because, you think you're crazy, you're just imagining it. But when you see it ripple down into the lower densities of our physical reality with these signs and symbols that are always there, that's a way to confirm yourself. I say to people, check it out. So,
Yeah, and it's not just
but
that, it's not just that you think you're crazy, you're taught that it's crazy. You're programmed to believe that any of these external things are not real, And
exactly.
that's the whole thing that we're fighting is we're
Yes.
programmed the exact opposite of the way things are actual in reality.
Mm.
So, we got a question here. Please tell me why people get sick when they are completely loving themselves. Are they linked with the wrong soul
Mm.
love from South Africa?
Yes, exactly. And so why? How did it happen? How did it happen? Okay. So what happened was, okay.
Are you still there?
Why do people get sick when they're completely loving themselves?
Yes, the question was please tell me why people get sick when they're completely loving themselves. Are they linked with the wrong soul love from South Africa?
Soul love. Well, I don't know. I'd have to get a little bit more information, but um, what comes to mind to me is that modern medicine, okay, we're in the midst of weaponized medicine that's so totally off, which was what Jesse was just talking about. And I'm going to go back to where that started, but how everything is inverted. Everything's off. Everything's been disconnected from source and inverted. So where education doesn't teach it, indoctrinates, medicine doesn't heal. But one of the truths about medicine, if you go to ancient medicine, which is really traditional medicine, not what we call traditional medicine, but there's healing crisis, which comes to mind. And we're taught, no, my healing crisis was the pus had to come out. I mean, pus was there, and the infection had to come out. I had to be rooted out. It was very painful. The guy had to go in there and pull it out. It was awful. So it's not pleasant. Healing crises are not pleasant. But what we're taught with modern medicine is, I'm detoxing, right? 5G, radiation, toxic stuff is surrounding the planet. Your body responds by detoxing. Oh, that's bad. I've got a flu. I've got a virus. I've got a fever. That's beautiful. You need to get that stuff out, the toxins out of you. That's a healing crisis. But what happens in modern medicine is you start to feel bad. You go to the doctor, I have a sore throat. Well, let me give you something to stop that. Let me give you something to stop that. And you stop it. So if you're loving yourself, and I've seen a lot of people on social media saying, I ask God, I want to surrender my ego to God, but all these bad things are happening. Or I want to heal myself, but all these bad things are happening. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's happening because you're getting rid of your ego. You're getting rid of, by loving yourself, you're loving the dark side out of yourself. You have to embrace that. If you're feeling bad, that was the question, she's feeling bad or they're feeling bad?
Just completely loving themselves and they're linked to
Hello?
the wrong soul love.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So I can. It's a little bit blurry, but I can hear you. And I just wanted to quickly answer, for Jane of my thoughts on that. So there's a couple of reasons why people get sick,
It takes me a while to. These are big questions. So people get sick because they're in a healing crisis, because it's coming out of you. You need, this time is the cutting away from, like Michelangelo, removing the toxins, removing the imperfections, removing the finite from you. So if you are loving yourself, really loving yourself, you can love yourself sick too. You need to love yourself while you're sick. I just went through a huge, oh my God, these past couple of days, talking nausea, diarrhea, everything. But I knew I loved it because I knew I was cleansing myself. I was going to feel so great. And I did. So you're going to be doing this a lot because we're in the middle of a war right now, and you're getting higher frequencies. So you have ascension symptoms, then you're getting lower frequencies. So your body's going up and down, and you've got to just love yourself through the process. Did that answer the question?
Yes, and for me, I haven't had a cold or flu in almost 4 years since I stopped eating meat. And, being sick, I think, has to do with a couple things. One is like what Elizabeth was saying, this energy, some kind of things that you need to release inside. But the other thing is that we're overburdened with toxins. We're overburdened with chemicals and pesticides and, things in the air, things in the water. So the body protects itself by getting sick. So it's not a bad thing to get sick. And like what Elizabeth said is when you go to a doctor and they stop you from, getting sick, or stop you from this, sore throat, or stop you from, like these flu shots, you're stopping the body's natural ability to protect itself. So it's actually not a bad thing to get sick, because now you're able to release, this stuff. So I guess we've got only a few minutes
Healing
left.
curses. Yes.
Yeah,
we only curses. Okay, so I'm trying to get back to the question about Jesus. Are we running out of time?
Yeah, so we got maybe about 3 or 4 minutes before we have to go. So if you can just end off with that, and then maybe some final words.
Okay, stop waiting for Jesus. Yeshua, a lot of names, it's been co-opted, the whole thing. The whole crucifixion is crucifying the Christ within you. You are the Christ you've been waiting for. Okay, there have been highly evolved Christ players on this planet since the fall, which I talked about, which happened in Atlantis. And that fall after the fall, that's why we don't have anything about Atlantis, because our entire world was rewritten. We were taken offline. We were downgraded from 12-stranded Christ beings to 2-stranded genetic double, our DNA. And this is the journey back home. And you are the Christ. You are the Savior you've been waiting for. You are the leader who's going to create other leaders. You're it. It's all about you right now. And as you change, you will change the world around you. You be the change you want to see in the world. It's all about transmutation. Love your dark side. Love your illnesses. Love your disease. Love your low points. Love yourself through this. Love the darkness inside of you and around you, and move to the higher frequencies where you are the embodiment of Christ, and transmute into your Christ of light body. Does that make sense?
100%.
So,
what a
yes, my website,
beautiful answer.
Please subscribe. Thank you. Please subscribe. And my book is almost finished, so if you subscribe, I'll send you out the link. Right now I'm going to first let it out slowly as a ebook, because I want to kind of build the energy and the inner circle of people that I feel like are going to be the founders of the new earth. That's what I'm trying to do, and then let it slowly go out more and more and more. But I want to kind of control it, because it's got a lot of disclosure information, which you got to be really careful about nowadays, because you get Thank you, Jesse.
Well, thank you so much for being here, being a part of the Missing Link. We love you so much. You resonate with so many people. You've really, embodied what a beautiful human and soul is about. And you're really connecting and not letting fear guide your way. So you're perfect here on the Missing Link, Love Inspiring New Knowledge, because you've definitely inspired lots of new knowledge for people, and, really some good things to think about. So please subscribe to the infinitehuman.com, and connect with Elizabeth Monroy if, it feels in alignment with you, because she's a beautiful human. So thank you so much for being a part of the Missing Link, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Okay, we love you.
Jesse.
So we have right now...
Doing.
Thank you so much. And right now we have next is John Baxter. He's going to be talking to us about the medbed technology. He's got a lot of information. So, it's going to be new to me. I haven't actually had a conversation and spoken with him. So we'll be starting back up in about 6 minutes with, the Missing Link on the next interview. So thanks again. Elizabeth's camera just went off, so she's here in audio only, but we really appreciate you, connecting, commenting, sharing, and being a part of the Missing Link. So we'll see you all shortly. Thanks, Elizabeth.